Hello friends, here is a new story. I hope you all like the video and subscribe to my channel. Now here is summary. When they were mortal they were in love, now they are gods that are twins with a child. What will Artemis and Apollo do when the lines are not so simple anymore? Naruto will still be a Jinchuriki but will be raised by the twin archers in the PJO world, not Kahona. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Chapter 6, Meeting the Immortal Trainer of Heroes and the God of Wine. Standing in front of Naruto was two girls close to his own age who were some of the prettiest girls he had ever met. Growing up in the hunt he was pretty sheltered, not meeting many people. Even in the month he was out there on his own he stuck to woods and mortal cities mostly with the money his parents had provided for him. He rarely had contact with females, so he felt a bit overwhelmed when he met two pretty ones who, unlike Zoe, were not bound by his mother's oath. One girl who looked maybe a year younger than him and a bit shorter than him looked at him with interest and curiosity. The blonde-haired girl had shocking stormy gray eyes that appeared to be analyzing him 1,000 ways per minute. She had long blonde curly hair that looked like the princess he saw in the books he read as a child. She seemed quite fit, although not the same level as his sisters. She had a tanned figure that looked like the people typically from California, and Naruto admitted she seemed rather pretty. Unlike him though, she seemed to try to analyze him without him telling her a thing. The other girl, who appeared to be a year older than him, was the same height as him. Naruto freely admitted to himself he thought she was super beautiful. She had tan skin with beautiful bright blue eyes that looked at him warmly. She had long black hair that reached her back, and a face that momentarily took his breath away. Naruto swore to himself for being so awestruck with a girl he had not formally met yet, knowing his mother would disapprove although his dad would likely cheer him on. Naruto swore her face had a red tint, but he was too busy trying to get his one face under control to notice. She also looked fit and athletic, although like the blonde girl not to the same degree as his sisters from the hunt. And 2. Chiron chuckled and coughed, getting Naruto to start staring as the black-haired girl giggled and the blonde girl chuckled. Always nice to meet you, Naruto. My name is Annabeth Chase. Annabeth said, raising a hand formally in welcome. Naruto had put his sword back in its sheath and gasped her hand in greeting. Hi Annabeth. I hope we can become friends, Naruto said somewhat nervously as he was a bit shy talking to people he didn't know. Annabeth just nodded and stepped back. Naruto, my name is Selena Beauregard. One would not mind showing you around camp when you get settled in. Selena greeted with a wink, giggling as Naruto stuttered. Sure, I would like that as well, Naruto replied with a blush. Selena and Annabeth, please return back to your cabins, it is rather late. Naruto and I shall take Grover and our new guest to the med bay, and then I shall talk to Naruto in the big house. Chiron told everyone as Naruto nodded in agreement. Naruto picked up the satyr while Chiron grabbed the black-haired boy. Naruto waved to his new friends, who smiled and waved back as they started walking back to their own cabins. Once outside of listening range, Annabeth's brain started to turn, trying to figure out the new mystery called Naruto Uzumaki. Annabeth turned to Selena, who looked thoughtful. Selena, Naruto sure is a mystery, huh? I mean, he had a sword when we saw him, but what was with that flash of light before the monster disappeared? Annabeth asked eagerly. Selena looked skeptical and said maybe it was just a flash of lightning from Lord Zeus. I think you are overthinking this, Annabeth. Annabeth looked put down but relented. Maybe, but I saw you blushing when you saw him though, Annabeth teased as Selena stuttered. I have never seen you interested in a guy before, despite almost every guy liking you, Annabeth noted as Selena frowned. It was not her fault her mother was Aphrodite, meaning even at her young age she made guys' jaws drop when she walked by. She was not like a lot of siblings who loved attention. She would rather be a good friend than tease a boy. He seemed interested, that's all, Selena claimed, avoiding her friend's grin and eyes. She bid Annabeth goodbye as she entered cabin 10 with a small smile. Naruto Uzumaki, huh? I feel he will make camp more interesting, Selena thought as she re-entered her room, intending to sleep for a few more hours. Back with Naruto. Do you know who I am, Chiron? Naruto asked seriously in the big house as Chiron smiled down at him. Yes, son of Artemis and Apollo. I was the only being outside the hunt told of your existence in accordance with Lord Zeus's wishes, Chiron acknowledged as Naruto visibly relaxed. I must say I have lived quite a long time, and I have never thought I would see Artemis have a child, even a mortal one, let alone raise them, Chiron admitted as Naruto beamed with pride at the mention of his mom. Yeah, mom and dad told me it would shock a lot of gods and demigods when they claim me. Dad even said it would be the reveal of the millennium. Naruto said, cheekily grinning at Chiron. So, this is the little brat finally about to take his place at my camp, huh? A bored voice said from the doorway as Chiron bowed. Lord Dionysus, Naruto said respectfully as he bowed. His mother and father stressed how important it was to show respect, especially to the Olympians, no matter your own feelings. Dionysus was exactly as his mom described him as. A sad portly man who seemed to resent the very place he worked. Dionysus grumbled as he sat down on a throne he transformed from a chair. At least you have manners, unlike half of these brats who only whine I don't help out. Dionysus grunted as he summoned a Diet Coke and grumpily sipped. My mom and dad told me to respect all gods, especially the Olympians. Naruto explained as Chiron nodded his head in approval. So is it worth it for Artemis and Apollo to bring you here and risk father's rage just to keep you safe? Dionysus said sharply as Chiron frowned. My lord, I don't think that is. Chiron started before Naruto interrupted him. No, it's alright. I am failure. My parents took a huge risk raising me, but I swore to myself I will make them proud and prove it was not a mistake for them to have me. Naruto declared with convictions as Chiron looked proud while Dionysus looked intrigued. We shall have to see, won't we? Dionysus grumbled, although it had no heat. So, tell me brat, why did your parents convince father to change things around here? He asked as Naruto raised an eyebrow. Change things? Mom and dad only told me this place is where demigods go for protection and training, and that children go to a cabin assigned by their godly parents. Naruto said with confusion, not hearing of changes. Must have wanted it to be a surprise. Dionysus grumbled as he waved for Chiron to explain. Chiron nodded and Naruto turned to him. You know that all minor gods, demigods and unclaimed demigods are forced to live in the Hermes cabin, correct? Chiron said with a sigh as he had suggested at multiple times to Dionysus to have more cabins for the overabundance of the single cabin. These suggestions were left in the wind by the bored wine god, and Zeus refused to budge on the issue. Yeah, I heard about that, Naruto said with a sigh. He personally believed his Auntie Hestia deserved a cabin for giving up her throne, but Artemis explained Hestia wanted no glory despite her vital role. Well, about 5 years ago Lord Zeus appeared himself and commissioned from Lord Hephaestus and his children to build 2 more cabins near the hearth. One for female demigods and male, essentially taking the minor gods and unclaimed from the Hermes cabin into gender-specific cabins. They are simply known as the other male and other female cabins. Chiron explained as Dionysus burped and Naruto eyes widened. And 3. Yeah, father had a meeting of the council where your parents made a rather compelling case for the overabundance of Hermes cabins, so he agreed to make 2 more cabins for the what he called extra children. Dionysus recalled as Chiron winced at the name for the children. He had no power over the council, but he knew that small changes were still better than nothing, especially with decisions usually lasting thousands of years. Dionysus decided to add Hermes was so happy he hugged Apollo to near death while he looked ready to kiss Artemis. Of course, he ended up with a few dozen arrows from both your parents, but it was still rather shocking all in all. Dionysus smirked at the growl and then laughter coming from Naruto. Honestly, they ever told me of such things, but although that was when I first learned about the gods and that their demigod children got at least one dominant trait from their parents. Naruto mused as Dionysus scoffed, thinking this kid must be the reason why the party boy Apollo and stick in the mud Artemis started to change. That is correct, Naruto, although in your case, since you were born from their mortal bodies, it is a bit different. You do look similar enough to Apollo demigod children, but besides your small movements it is hard to tell if you inherited anything from Artemis. Chiron told him, looking at him closely. Naruto sighed sadly and said, yeah, mom says that too, but she is hoping my looks will change when she claims me. The plan is for Dad to claim me when everyone is awake. Dionysus burped and said wouldn't count on anything changing, but I suppose anything could happen. Anyways, I'm guessing Annabeth is a daughter of Athena and Selena is a daughter of Aphrodite? Naruto guessed as both immortals gave him curious looks. Mom told me and Athena children have the same stormy gray eyes she has, along with blonde hair from their fathers. Naruto explained, then laughed before saying, Dad once asked why Lady Athena only had children with blonde men, asking if she had some sort secret desire, but Mom says all he got was a spear thrust in his face and owl dung in his hair. Dionysus chuckled, saying, I remember that your stupid dad asked her during a meeting with nobody willing to take Apollo seriously for a month afterwards. Anyway, Selena being Aphrodite daughter, I just assumed since she seems kinda mature despite only being just older than me. Naruto said with a blush as Chiron smirked and Dionysus coughed loudly. Anyway, I know it is only a few hours before camp schedule starts, but would you like to sleep somewhere? Chiron asked concerned before Naruto shook his head. It's okay. I take naps whenever, and when I go to Dad's cabin, I will get some real sleep. Naruto explained as the two immortals just assumed due to his dual heritage he could sleep day or night. What can I do to pass the time till people wake up? Naruto asked as Dionysus looked bored. Do you know how to play pinochle? Dionysus asked as Naruto looked interested. Several hours later, slowly demigods left the warmth of their beds and gathered in the dining pavilion where breakfast was being served at the tables. In the front was Chiron and Naruto, with everyone giving their full attention when Chiron sounded a horn. Campers, as you might know, last night, we got 2 new demigods. One is currently resting but the other is here with me, Naruto Uzumaki. Chiron shouted as cheers rang everywhere. Hope he's not a brother. He is too cute. Could be a challenge. I wonder if how slayed the monster last night. These were several of the things Naruto could hear as he noticed Annabeth sitting with kids looking similar to her. He assumed they were also children of Athena. His sweat dropped at the several voices coming from a table of very pretty boys and girls, including Selena. As if on cue, a bright light enveloped him and he looked up to see a golden lyre above his head. Behold, Naruto Uzumaki, son of Apollo, lord of the sun, light, healing, disease, plagues, music, art, poetry, archery, reason, knowledge, truth and prophecy, Chiron announced as everyone gasped. This greatly shocked Naruto as his mother told him how Apollo had countless demigod children, so why was another one so shocking? He after 7 first day in claiming. Son of Apollo? We haven't had one of those since. Yea, he's not a brother. Dibs. He might not be such a whiz unlike those archer pansies. These were several of the whispers Naruto heard while he looked at Chiron, who merely sighed. Naruto has been claimed and therefore join his brothers and sisters at Cabin 7. Chiron declared as several loud cheers rang from kids that looked like his dad. Naruto noticed that not one of them was younger than him, with several of them looking at him in confusion. Naruto quickly went to the table where he got smiles and claps on the back from every of his paternal brother and sisters. Hey there, new bro. My name is Lee Fletcher and welcome to Cabin 7. A blonde-haired blue-eyed boy told Naruto. He appeared to be 17, with him being a foot taller than Naruto. Naruto quickly introduced himself before Chiron spoke again. As traditional, before we meet our blessed breakfast, we shall sacrifice part of our meal to the gods. As everyone started lining up by cabin towards the giant fire pit at the head of the dining hall, Naruto made sure to look confused. Why are we burning part of our food? Naruto asked, pretending to be confused. Right, you're new. We burn a part of our food every meal as an offering to our parents or any gods. They like the smell of the burnt food, supposedly. Lee explained kindly as they waited in line for their turn. Of course, Naruto knew this from his parents, but he never actually practiced it. Whenever he wanted to praise his parents, he did it directly in person, and he could talk to his Aunt Hestia just by whispering her name in the fire. He knew why demigods did it besides to stroke the gods' egos, as his mother would say. Demigods rarely got to talk directly to their parents, and having some kind of sign they were listening was a great comfort to the kids. Several of his sisters asked why he had whiskers, and even one mentioned they were rather cute, much to his embarrassment. Naruto admitted they were since his birth and they simply grew along with him. Finally, it came down to Naruto to burn his food. To Apollo. Naruto said loudly, as he had seen his older siblings do. He secretly also prayed to his mother and godmother, feeling a warm feeling in his heart which he knew meant they listened. Breakfast was a plate full of pancakes, bacon, and hash browns, which to his delight tasted rather delicious, although not as good as his Ani home-cooked meals. After breakfast, Naruto got annoyed at all the looks he was receiving, which he assumed was related to his claiming. Okay Lee, why is so strange? I am son of Apollo, and why I am the youngest member of our cabin? Naruto asked with a mild glare as his siblings looked around, realizing he saw the looks he was receiving. I mean, the books say Dad had thousands of demigods, so why I am the youngest right now? When Lee looked away, one of his sisters decided to answer him. Aeon too. Kalanos was a Canadian-born demigod of Apollo. She was a ginger with a splash of green, which she insisted wasn't dot, although Naruto doubted it. She, like all of Apollo's children, was older than Naruto, being about 15. Look Naruto, the reason why it is so strange for another son of Apollo to show up is that Dad hasn't had another demigod in early 13 years. You are literally the first the camp had seen in years. Kalo explained to the shock of Naruto, as several of his siblings were talking about how strange it was, especially as Apollo had at least one demigod a year before then. Naruto was thinking back to several years ago when he was 10 and started asking questions. Flashback. Dad. Naruto shouted, running to sit on his happy dad's lap while his mom just laughed. Yes, sunshine? Apollo asked with a warm smile, rubbing his excited son's head gently. Mommy has her hunters, so does Dad have any children to play with? Naruto asked innocently as both parents stuttered. Naruto was too young to understand how children were born, but just thought they were his siblings. You see. Apollo stuttered, trying to explain while Artemis just sighed, getting Naruto's attention focused on her. Now your papa has plenty of children who I am sure you will meet someday, Artemis said flatly as Naruto tilted his head in confusion. Flashback. And looking back, I think I noticed Dad looking guilty when Mom said that, but I could never understand why. Is it because he felt guilty about having all those children before I was born? Dad, did you change and not have kids anymore because I was born? Naruto asked in his mind in a prayer to his dad. He did not receive a response but felt his hair move slightly as if his dad was rustling it. Naruto was distracted from his thoughts when his siblings showed him the archery range for his first lesson. Naruto had a hidden smirk when he was about to practice his favorite activity. Meanwhile, on Olympus in Apollo's throne room, what do you mean you haven't had a demigod since Naruto was born? Artemis screamed at a serious-looking Apollo, who met her glare with his own solemn look. I mean, I was with you and Naruto nearly the entire time he was in the hunt, Apollo said calmly as Artemis sputtered but still had a response in mind. Yeah, but I thought some part of you was off having your fun while the main you were with us, Artemis accused as Apollo winced. While Artemis' clone had been responsible keeping the hunt strong and the same, his other clones had multiple demigods mainly out of boredom while he was Minato. Apollo sighed before answering, look, I know my record with demigods is nearly as bad as Dad's. Ignoring Artemis' cough, he continued, but I love Naruto and I wanted to be a dad he could be proud of. How could I do that while having fun elsewhere and not expect my son to pick up my habits? Say what you will about me, but my love for our son and even you sis is real, Apollo explained with determination as Artemis was quiet, not knowing what to say. Apollo. You, Artemis said, not knowing how to respond. As much as she tried to deny it, ever since they came back from Ebbing Mortal her attitude towards Apollo had changed. They no longer bickered as much, besides occasionally on what's best for Naruto, they hunted together more frequently and she even allowed Apollo to heal her hunters, which she refused to do so in the past. Before Artemis had to answer, Hestia called them up to her hearth in the throne room, which could be used to see anywhere on Earth. Congrats on your kid getting to Camp Half-Blood, Hermes said with a grin as Artemis and Apollo sat in human size in front of the hearth like all the other gods. They were all there except for Dionysus, who was in Camp Half-Blood, and Ares, who was sulking that his girlfriend was not interested in their bed today. Back in Camp Half-Blood, the entire camp had gathered to see Naruto's first archery lesson, which Naruto knew was his initiation into the camp and them seeing if he inherited any of his dad's natural skill. If only they knew. Naruto thought dryly as he picked up a quiver full of arrows. Hey, if you don't get it right in the middle, it's okay, Naruto. Very few of Dad's kids get it right in the first shot, Will whispered in comfort tone of voice as Naruto grinned. I guess we will have to wait and see, Naruto said with a slightly cocky tone of voice. Naruto took a breath and as quick as the wind an arrow flew through his bow right into the middle as everyone was quiet. Beginning's luck? Somebody suggested from the back as Naruto just shrugged. Naruto practiced for years with his parents and hunter sisters, so a non-moving target was no problem for him. Naruto quickly got a pat of congratulations from all his siblings, which he counted including himself was 12, so nobody had to share bunk beds. And 3. Naruto looked into the crowd expecting Annabeth to ask him questions, but to his surprise he did see her in the wave of blonde-haired, gray-eyed demigods. He remembered the boy he saved had some injuries, so he assumed maybe she was taking care of him till he woke up. Some ugly part of him was annoyed a friend he just made was taking care of another boy, but he quickly dismissed it. The same part was more relieved that his friend Silena was watching him with a bright smile that still made him a bit flustered. Meanwhile on Olympus damn first shot bullseye, Poseidon said loudly, impressed as several gods gave Terry approval. Artemis and Apollo merely smiled with pride at their child. Aphrodite, sensing Naruto's feelings, squealed as Athena coughed and asked, "Something you find amusing, Aphrodite?" As everyone turned to the excited goddess of love. "Oh, nothing, just that our little superstar has a little crush on your daughter Annabeth, I believe her name is," Aphrodite claimed, enjoying the glares from the virgin goddesses. "I highly doubt that," Athena said with narrowed eyes. "My little boy is too young to date," Artemis claimed, as everyone still gave her weird looks for her maternal side appearing for a male child. "We shall see," Aphrodite said with a wink. "Although I might be happy if he gets claimed by little girl Selena, who already seems to have gotten him hooked." Aphrodite giggled as Artemis glared heatedly. Artemis would not fault the girl for actions of her parents, but when it was her child, she believed she deserved to be a bit suspicious of her son's love life. Seeing Poseidon being distraught, Apollo pulled him aside while Artemis gave him a nod. "I know you are worried about your kid, but he will be fine. Trust me, god of prophecy and truth here," Apollo said with a grin. Poseidon smiled, but his eyes still had some sorrow in it. "Thanks to your son, mine got to live," Poseidon said gratefully, as Apollo knew he was grieving for his mortal lover. "Look, I can't go into details, but we both know gold lights doesn't mean death, it means metamorphosis," Apollo told him as Poseidon sighed but nodded as they returned to the throne room, only to see Zeus glare at his older brother. The other gods sighed and decided to leave, as there would be another screaming match between the big three gods tonight. Back in Camp Half-Blood, Naruto enjoyed the next few hours where he learned some ancient Greek. Despite being taught by his parents, he played along, canoeing, which he was bored with quickly, and talking to nature spirits. To his surprise, they were eager to chat with him since they sensed he wasn't a horny teen boy, and they thought he had a nice nature smell to him, which he thought was due to his mother. And 4. He even met the satyr he saved last night, who he learned was called Grover Underwood. Grover was nice but kept trying to sniff him, much to Naruto's discomfort, seeing he smelled like nature and seemed oddly obsessed with it. Naruto covered himself, claiming he went camping a lot, but overall, he got along with the satyr rather well. Suddenly Naruto and Grover were called by Chiron, who revealed that the black-haired boy Naruto saved finally woke up, with Chiron wanting them both to be there when he started explaining. Grover quickly agreed while Naruto shrugged but agreed. Little did Naruto know he was going to meet Percy Jackson, the fated big three child who would decide Olympus's fate. I hope you all liked the video, and if you all want the next part of this video, please like the video and comment 3 hearts. Please subscribe to my channel so whenever I upload a video you will notify.